Hi everyone, it's Alyssa from Planet Alyssa, and I'm here with this week's What I Sold on Etsy report. We're right in the middle of the Christmas rush, so I have been selling a lot of stuff this week. We had Black Friday and Cyber Monday in this week, and this week I sold a total of 32 items with a total selling price of $480. So that's pretty nice. I'm quite happy and a bit exhausted. Okay, I'm going to try to quickly show you all 32 of the items that sold and what each one sold for. Appropriately enough, the first thing that sold this week has a Christmassy theme to it. It's a little figurine with an owl on it and like a little vase or candy cane holder. It's in like a chippy style. The paint is sort of worn off, which gives it a cool vintage look, but also means it's probably not worth as much. So I sold this for $5, and this is something I picked up at a rummage sale. This is a vintage sugar bowl and creamer set that also comes in a oval-shaped plastic dish or bowl. The brand name on this was Trumpetware, and I sold this set for $10. I think this also came from a rummage sale. Sold a few games this week. This is the first game that sold. It's a vintage 1960s edition of the game Trouble, which sold for $20. This is not quite complete. One of the red playing pieces is missing, but all the other pieces are there. And I can't remember where I got this. I think I might have picked this up at an auction. This is a vintage red telephone. Unfortunately, this phone is not in working condition. We tested it out and it doesn't quite work right. It's a push-button style princess phone. It still sold for $35 even though it didn't work. I'm assuming someone was going to use it as a prop or maybe even try and fix it. And in fact, it was going internationally, so they paid quite a bit for shipping too. And this was one of those rare inherited items. It used to belong to my boyfriend's grandparents. And another sugar bowl sold this week. This one has a pretty cool modern style to it. It's all made of metal. It sold for $10, although that's a little bit misleading. I knocked a little bit off the price for the buyer and just knocked the price off the shipping. But so it's more like it sold for $8. Another sort of Christmassy thing this week. This is a vintage souvenir license plate from nearby Bethlehem, PA, aka the Christmas City. It sold for $12, and this is something I picked up in a thrift store. This is a nice set of old vintage books. They're all different literary classics. It's a set of 5, which sold for $30. These were sort of a smaller size classic book, so nice little books. I picked these up at a variety of sources and put them together into a lot. Still listing and selling Viewmaster reels. This one is a Snoopy one. It's a bird, Charlie Brown. Sold for $6, and if you watch my previous videos, you know I got these all in a lot at an auction. Sold some playing cards this week. This deck and the next deck you're going to see were bought by the same person. They are both Pinochle decks. They both sold for $8, and they're both new old stock decks, so they're still sealed in their original plastic. They have some pretty fun vintage designs on them. Another Christmas thing, a very kitschy plastic Christmas tree decoration. It sold for $4. I picked it up at a rummage sale. The person that bought it also bought this Beatrix Potter playing game for $20. And this is something I think I picked up in a thrift store. Another game. This is something called Pit. It is a Parker Brothers game with cards. It sold for $10, and it's something I picked up at an auction. Another auction find was this new old stock wallet set. It's a wallet and a key holder wallet, right from the 1980s, the vintage Velcro style, brown and black. And it was a never used set in the original box. It sold for $10. This is an embroidery kit to make a pillowcase or pillow, I guess. It sold for $15, and it's something I picked up in a thrift store. And here's another one of those Viewmaster sets. This one is from the Pippi Longstocking movie, and it sold for $6. By the way, this was also an international thing, so they paid even more for the shipping. And I sold another chippy style figurine, this one of a squirrel. It sold for $5, and I cannot remember where this came from. Might have been in a box lot at an auction. And yet another game. This one is a vintage Jeopardy game. It sold for $15. And I believe I picked it up in a box lot at an auction. This is a set of 4 China figurines. They're the Wade Red Rose Tea figurines. This set of 4 sold for $12, and I do believe these came from a rummage sale. Another vintage plastic set. This is a set of 6 bowls. Each one's a different color. Mallowware was the brand name on these, and this set of 6 sold for $20. I cannot remember where I picked these up. I think I picked them up at a garage sale. Another Christmas thing. This is a set of 2 red plastic bell type ornaments. They sold for $8, and I picked these up. They called it a vintage fair. It was a fundraiser for a local historical site. Sold this paint by number painting. It's a seaside scene. It sold for $20, and I picked this up at a rummage sale. In fact, it was in that rummage sale video I did a few months back. Here's a vintage lap tray or TV tray. It sold for $20, and as you can see, it has a photo illustration of Disney World on the front there. And some more playing cards. This is a complete deck of standard playing cards, and the illustration on this, it's kind of hard to see, is actually an advertising thing. Premium is for Reese Buick, which was a car dealership, and these sold for $8. I think these came from an auction, but I can't remember. This is a glass paperweight in the shape of a turtle. It's a pretty aqua blue color. It sold for $15, and I picked this up at a thrift store. Here's a pretty cool vintage piggy bank. It's made of pink plastic. It sold for $8, and it also has a little noise maker so that it makes a pig noise when you rock it back and forth. I picked this up at an auction in a box lot. This is a set of children's classic books. The set sold for $20, and these are vintage but not that old. I believe they were from the early 1990s. I picked all these books up at a thrift store. And I sold another phone this week. This one is a yellow rotary phone that is in perfect working condition. We were able to test it, and this sold for $40. And this phone I picked up at a rummage sale. I sold this backgammon set this week. This one's a magnetic travel backgammon set. It sold for $18, and I think I picked this up at a thrift store. This is a vintage rock band button or pin for Depeche Mode. If you were around back then, they're late 80s, early 90s band. This sold for $4. And here's a very cool vintage wooden chess set, which sold for $50. The set is complete. One of the pieces did have some damage on it though, as was noted in the listing. And I picked this up at a rummage sale. You probably saw it in my rummage sale video if you watched that. And finally this week, this was a set of blank note cards from Current Cards that had different wildlife illustrations on them. And this set sold for $8. I picked this up at a rummage sale as well. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope your Christmas sales are going well. I put out new What I Sold videos every Friday, or I try to get them out on Friday anyway. And I do put out other helpful videos on selling vintage items on Etsy. If you like this video, please feel free to like or subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week, everyone. Okay, happy selling!